He tried to kill my father.
Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Goats and Cookies. This one is titled America Has a Trust Problem. Joining me today are my co-hosts Lou and Jesse. And before we really get into this, I'm gonna come out with a book of the week. Zach couldn't make it, so I'm gonna try to do my best on this segment. It's usually his baby. But this week's book is called They Called Us Lucky by Ruben Gallego. Gallego was a Marine infantryman with Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines during the Iraq War. In 2005, Lima Company suffered some devastating losses, and this book tells that story from the perspective of one of the Marines who lived through it. What I like about this book is that it doesn't try to make war sound heroic or clean. And Gallego, he talks about the friendships, the stupid shit Marines do to keep their each other sane, the fear, the fighting, and especially the Marines they lost along the way. This book it hits a little different for me personally, and I'm sure it does for Lou too, because we were actually embedded with this unit during one of the operations, actually a few of the operations that Gallego talks about in the book. I was there as a Marine combat photographer documenting the operation, and Lou was there as public affairs. And when he describes a lot of these places, the Marines and the events, I'm not just like imagining them. I have my own memories from being there, so it really hit me hard when I read it. And that's probably why I recommend this book. It's not really a book about politics, even though Gallego obviously went on to become a politician. It's a book about Marines, war, loss, and what you carry home afterward. And it's called, once again, They Called Us Lucky by Ruben Gallego. It's definitely worth checking out. And on to the episode. All right. Today, I want to talk about trust because I honestly don't know who Americans trust anymore. We don't trust the government. We don't trust politicians, corporations, the news, universities, scientists, elections. We don't trust the fucking police. We don't trust each other. And somehow, while claiming none of these people can be trusted, we will sit and watch a 45-second TikTok made by some dude sitting in his fucking pickup truck and be like, "Yep, this motherfucker figured it out." So we're living in a country where everybody thinks somebody is lying to them. And here's the fucked up part. Sometimes, usually, they're right. Governments have lied. Corporations have lied. The military has manipulated information. News organizations have fucked things up. Politicians, they lie constantly. And regular people, they spread bullshit every single day without even realizing they're doing it most of the time. So I don't want this conversation to be about which political side lies more. That's too fucking easy. I want to ask something harder. When everybody claims they're telling the truth, how the hell are we supposed to know who deserves our trust? So, to start off, we don't trust institutions anymore. Americans have become deeply suspicious of institutions, and some of that distrust, I should say, was earned. Government scandals happened. Corporations knowingly hurt people. News organizations got stories wrong. Political leaders, they lied. Experts made mistakes. None of that is imaginary. But there's another side to this. If every institution becomes automatically untrustworthy the moment it tells us something we don't want to hear, then we've got a serious fucking problem because democracy requires some shared understanding of reality. We don't have to agree about what to do, but we at least need some ability to agree about what actually happened. Otherwise, we're not debating anymore. We're living in completely different realities. So, my question to you guys, what institution have you personally lost the most trust in during your lifetime? And what happened to cause that?
Hellfire. Honestly, really, it was the military industry and my experience over 12 years, 8 months of service and asking questions. It, it's what changed my perspective. Because why are we doing this? Generals don't like to answer the question why. Really, when it comes down to it. Uh, but I was on staff, at a couple commands. Uh, Operation Martillo, which is Operation Hammer, um, for the U.S. Southern Command going into shit. Where were they at? It was Guatemala. I'm pretty positive. And we were renovating bases down there. We had civil affairs from a Fourth Marine Division. Not civil affairs. Civil affairs was there, but we also had their their engineers down there repairing the bases. We had helicopters doing interdiction work, and for what purpose? Drug interdiction, you know. But for why? You know, when we had a budget that only stopped 10% of all of the drugs that were coming from South America and Central America into the United States. And men were dying for what reason? And we're literally, I don't know, shattering windows. I can't remember the name of the base, man, but it's Rehobo, something of the sort. It One of our helicopters took off and just blasted dust and rocks everywhere, and it did a whole bunch of civic damage, just because it wasn't built, that base wasn't built for
Rotor
um
wash, yeah.
rotor wash. Absolutely. So like we have to answer for these like questions that come about, and that's where I really started to think like, what the fuck are we actually doing? When you ask the questions, like the higher ups, they don't have the answers that you want. I didn't really start getting more informed until I left the military and got into college and started doing independent research and seeing, well, what's the other side saying? You know what I mean? And from there, uh, oh shit, my life has changed. I started questioning everything. And when I questioned everything, especially about the military industrial complex, it put, I don't know, it kind of um, put things into perspective for me that what I didn't think about before. We are an empire, the greatest empire that's ever existed, and the most destructive one that has ever existed.
Yeah.
Uh, from there, like it just, I don't know. It made me really step back a couple steps to really understand any situation, the political and like military scheme of what are we doing?
That's
That's
an
really all I
answer.
got to say about that.
Yeah, thanks,
Sorry.
man. No, you're great. Luke?
I want to take where Jesse was going with that too, of like what are we doing? And point it at a different institution that I unfortunately lost faith in early on in my professional career, which is the media. My whole kind of high school life, when I found out that, damn, I'm pretty good at writing. Like I'm a pretty good writer. Like I can tell a story pretty well. Always been kind of like, I don't know if it's the Irish family in me. Like, we're all pretty good storytellers for the most part. And just kind of having that sort of English background, both of my parents majored in English and got their degrees in some form of the arts. And then my oldest brother was a journalist. He's 10 years older than me. So here I am, as I'm coming of age, seeing him out there working in DC for a magazine at the time, was government executive. And then he worked for the National Journal. Um, and seeing him and just wanting to follow kind of in his footsteps, because that's where my interest always was in writing and then in journalism too. And one thing that I always loved about the way my brother approached politics because he covered politics is he would never discuss politics because he always felt like if he did, he was going against the objectivity of what the media is supposed to be, of what journalism is supposed to be. And so maybe I had sort of that idea going into things. And I don't know if you call it naive or whatever, but I had a sort of like purist idea of what I was going to be as a journalist. You know, even though I'm writing as a a marine journalist, for an organization, and anybody that has written for an organization understands that you always have to put the organization, ahead and always in the greatest of light. But for our media, they don't have that. In fact, they have the opposite of that. They have uh, the objectivity of truth and the goal of seeking truth um, when some of their subjects are going to lie and some of their subjects are not going to tell the truth. And so I want to just kind of set that bar, as I'm talking about this. But um, what happened to cause my loss in the faith of our media was being deployed to Iraq and seeing and feeling just the darkness from the media. And when I say darkness, I mean it in the very like literal sense of like the lights were turned off on the war. We were not on the front pages anymore. We were not featured. We were not, I would write a story. I would take pictures, um, send them out, you know, page 5, page 6, page 11, backstory, like it was never the forefront, even though now they want to champion and say, we spent $2 trillion and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you helped let that happen because you allowed the American people to forget what was going on. You allowed the American people to forget that we were still at war after all those years. 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Come on. We keep going. We can fucking Sesame Street this shit if we need. Motherfuckers that haven't learned how to count.
Von
Might as well get the count up in here, dude. We fucking pay that fucking fee to get him up here. Um, so that for me probably was the moment where I lost faith in civilian media in the sense that it was like, what else are you reporting on? I'm so Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake broke up. So fucking what? That's your front page story. And we're sitting here. And I remember the guys and gals that we're writing about saying the same thing. It was like, well, this will probably get like maybe like the second page of my hometown newspaper. Sometimes I got the front page, I will say that. But it just we were forgotten. And within that forgottenness, um, you know, came everything that happens afterwards, right? And the fact that the civilian media now wants to bring up, the $2 trillion spent, the hundreds and thousands and millions of civilian Iraqi lives lost, 4,000 U.S. troops just in Iraq alone. We're not talking about Afghanistan, just in Iraq alone. And mind you, this is in an era where, our gear protected us from a lot of. If we had the same gear that we had, like they had in World War One and Two, the casualties probably would have been just as significant. A lot of people don't
Wildly
think.
higher.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot higher, yeah.
yeah. A lot of people don't think about that. The
My
amount of
helmet's the
lives
only
that were.
reason I'm sitting here right now. That
Yeah,
helmet saved my life when I got blown up.
and then the forgotten injured troops that happened from it. And again, here's what happens when you allow the American public to forget. Look at how quickly it happened again
Yeah.
and again
Yeah.
and again.
Yeah.
So that's where I lost my faith in the civilian media, the free press. There again, the caveat, not all. Yeah, not all for sure. But as far as the conglomerates, the fucking bigwigs at the top, of course, they want that thing brushed to the back page of the newspaper or whatever. But just as we talked about on the previous episode about people using deaths as propaganda,
Yeah.
you brought up Lima 325. How many Marines died?
I mean, I don't remember an exact number. I think it was
No, 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 I'm not.
60 something total
Yeah,
from
right,
325. Yeah.
right. But remember when we were talking about 13, they brought up the 13 from Afghanistan as we were
Mm.
pulling out.
Yeah.
So how come the 50 or 60 Marines from Lima Company, how come their names weren't all plastered over everything?
The
You know?
nationalists didn't want to use them for their gain.
Right. So I don't want us to get back into that topic. You all should go back and watch that episode. I think the three of us did a really good job on that.
Yeah,
Or the four of us. Was it four?
agreed.
Of us, but
Yeah.
so that's where I'm gonna leave off. And yeah, I will like side on a optimistic view on this. Independent media may save us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, where it was like 20 years ago when we were young bucks, early in the Marine Corps, when I was in the office, it was nothing but Fox News and every once in a while, maybe CNN. And I had a public affairs officer um, named Elle Helmer, and she was quite an individual. She kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I remember her going to visit the local Al Jazeera office in Washington, D.C., and some of the senior officers losing their fucking mind over this, all right? But from then until now, with all that's happened in my life and the news media that I do follow, outside of independent media, Al Jazeera is probably one of the most, outside of reporting on the Qatari crown, outside of that, they're one of the most non-biased fucking news media outlets that I've ever encountered, you know? And it just blows my mind the amount of like back pushing, back burner um, shit that happens. But this is why I watch Democracy Now! And News 5 and all these other independent media agencies that when they're able to actually get the true facts, if they're not dealing with the American government directly, uh, it gives you some solid perspective on what's actually happening. And at the end of the day, it, well, it lessens the burden of the banter of, well, that didn't happen. It's like, well, can you prove it? Like, because Fox News, CNN, BBC, they're saying this, but they're not providing any fucking factual documentation. It's just, speculative reporting, as it were, where these independent guys are actually fucking, here's the proof, you know? The pudding is right here. You eat it or you don't, and that's really what it comes down to. It took me a while to catch on, but especially after Afghanistan, um, I question everything, and I really just research everything you hear from credible sources, and you'll get your answer. And most of the time, Fox, CBS, NBC, BBC, or any other large um, colonial fucking conglomerates are going to be pumping up the numbers or just trying to fucking stir some kind of fear that it is not necessary.
Absolutely.
I'll just add this to sort of end this topic here too. If because Jesse's dead on, talking about like, make sure you're doing your research and everything like that. But here's that's definitely what we should be doing, right? But here's the problem, I think, with that concept is that these journalists, they're supposed to be the ones doing the fucking research. They are supposed to be the ones vetting people and making sure that they're getting the truth. They are supposed to be the ones that are doing all of this because the average American doesn't have time to go and look at both sides of the story and all that. So you wanting your journalists to do that. And so if any journalist is listening to this or just in general, if you're not doing that, you're fucking wrong. You're not doing your goddamn job. Start doing your fucking job and stop depending on the rest of us to fucking like filter through this shit and do your goddamn job for you.
Well, I mean, I definitely think that the majority of Americans that just form their opinions based off of the journalism that happens from the five major conglomerates, they 100% think that those journalists are doing exactly what you're saying to do. But which is why I favor the independent media because they, I mean, it's cut loss. You know, it's either I do the hard work to tell the truth, you know, as far as I can ascertain it, or I just don't have a job.
Yep.
Yeah, and
But they believe in the truth.
absolutely. And I think maybe we as consumers then should be the one, are the ones that force these motherfuckers out. Like look at how obsolete, you know, NBC Evening News and like some of those big I'm just bringing that up as not saying that they're obsolete, whatever, you fucking come at me. Um, but they you see more of the younger generation starting to, follow the independent news more so than those conglomerates. So eventually they are going to work themselves out of a job because they're not doing their job. And so like I said, I just hope that this generation that's coming up and the independent media that's coming through, that starts to gain some of that power that these big ass conglomerates had, because they will be flushed out. I think that's
$100%.
I have hope that's going to happen. That eventually they will flush themselves out. They will be so fucking corrupt that they have flushed themselves out of the business. And Yeah, I hope that those coming up just remember what what got you started and what got people believing in you, and don't ever forget it.
Taking both of your answers, the military industrial complex and media, kind of, I mean, it leads perfectly into the next topic, which is the three of us, were part of the information machine. And this one is interesting for the three of us because you guys
Yeah.
worked in military public affairs. You were Marine Corps public affairs, and I was combat camera. We documented what was happening and helped the Marine Corps tell its story. I do want to make something clear though. That doesn't mean we were sitting around inventing fucking lies. That's the cartoon version of propaganda. Reality is much more complicated. You can tell the truth and still choose which truth gets emphasized, which photograph gets published, which quote makes the story, which event gets covered, what context gets included and what context doesn't. And that's not necessarily dishonest, but it absolutely shapes how people understand an event. After after leaving the military and looking back at Iraq with 20 years of perspective, I think about that differently than I did when I was carrying a camera in the Marine Corps. So for you guys, from your experience in the military, media, history, or just life, what have you learned about the difference between telling the truth and telling the whole truth?
There were several times throughout my nearly 13-year career where I wanted to tell the whole truth. But either the public affairs chief or the public affairs officer or the goddamn commander said no. From their perspective, this is going to damage or tarnish the Marine Corps image. But at the same time, not telling you the truth and then the truth actually coming out tarnishes it even more. You know, um, the way that those decisions kind of help change the way I consume information now, it's really why I'm not in mass communications anymore. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I started going to college to finish a mass communications degree, and I was hearing the same old bullshit, the same old lines uh, about how to protect the investor or the mission or whatever, like it's the same thing in the corporate world. Um, and that's when I decided, like, I'm done putting out other people's fires when they don't listen to sound advice about the reality of the situation. You know, that was probably 2016. Yeah, 10 years ago. And Hellfire, this podcast is probably the first time that I've been involved in any kind of mass communication endeavor since leaving the field altogether, you know, just to do personal passions. But Hellfire, that's really all I can say about it. Well, maybe until you guys pipe in and you'll spark a memory.
Well, it's unfortunate for me, like seeing my colleagues like Jesse, you know, like feel the need to leave the profession because of all the bullshit that happened. Um, because Jesse, I don't know if you know this or not, you're a really good communicator.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
and there are a lot more like you that every time I hear like, yeah, I'm not in communications anymore. I'm like, damn, like you were really good and we could use you, For me, I bounce back and forth, obviously. But my focus, I think, um, changed where I said to myself, I will never do communications for an organization that I don't believe in ever again. And that's not saying that I didn't believe in the Marine Corps because I did. And I wrote that way. And you could tell from my stories that I believed in what I was saying at the time and even now, like Kev, you said at the beginning, we weren't lying, uh, you know, um, and it was showing the Marine Corps itself in the light that it um, wanted to be shown, right? And it's not to say
Yep.
that bad things weren't happening and that so when we talk about the whole story, I think about the chaos that would ensue if we told the whole story.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
in certain circumstances. Um, but Jesse, I see you're itching to jump in here.
no, I wrote a story one time about a Marine who was with me in Afghanistan, and he was part of Second Marine Division's headquarters battalion, and he was Muslim, and he was from Liberia, and he told me a story about how he was saved by a U.S. Marine during an uprising in his home country. And I mean, shit, most people don't even know the Marines were in Liberia at any point in time, but that was the whole reason he immigrated and he joined the Marine Corps. But he was a Muslim because it's a Muslim predominant country. And I also wrote about how he was discriminated against because he was a Muslim, because of the Islamophobia that had been propagandized and perpetuated through the ranks because of the wars that we were fighting. And there was a staff sergeant of his that essentially shut that shit down because he didn't look at him for his religion. He didn't look at him uh, because of his color. He looked at him on the content of his character and his due diligence that he did as a Marine. And that story was fucking chopped, you know. And I will say, well, I'll fucking say the name. Pauline Franklin, gunnery sergeant, I guess retired master sergeant. Pauline Franklin's the one that fucking said, I don't want to fucking be here forever. Like we 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 need to get the fuck out of this goddamn country, and I don't ever want to come back. One that had actually never been outside of the fucking wire. And when all of her Marines had seen motherfuckers shot, blown up, and just
Fob it.
like dismembered, yeah, you know. Um, but to my point, like they dismantled that story until it was just, it did not give justification to that Marine's sacrifice and all of the shit that he had to go through as as a Marine fighting for the United States of America and the U.S. Constitution in a predominantly Muslim country, you know.
Yeah.
So
Do you still
Well,
have that?
oh,
Do you still have the hard copy of the story, Jesse?
you fucking know I do.
Oh, oh, send it on, dude. I want to read it. But also, I mean, if you still have that Marine's contact information,
yeah,
fucking write the story now, dude. Fuck it. Who's gonna stop you?
we'll put it on the
Nobody.
show.
We're not in Afghanistan anymore. Like,
Nobody. I'm still looking for two hard drives that have been, I don't know. They're somewhere in boxes in the move.
and I will say this: redo all the interviews, redo everything,
Yep.
because now they're yours.
Yep.
Fuck off, legal team. Yep.
True
All right.
story. Yeah. So
Just so
what
everyone understands that this is what needs to be done and what will happen.
yeah, my first
But
two tours
you
are
can
on
send me the original. That's fine.
yeah, my first
That'll
two
stay between
tour
you and me.
yeah, my first two tours are on hard drives somewhere in boxes in this new move. I gotta find them. But once I do, we'll get it done.
Well, we're about to break for a new segment, but before we do, I'm going to answer this question too. For me, I'll say combat camera taught me something that something can be completely true and still not be the whole truth. I didn't have to fake a photograph for it to shape a narrative. If I photographed a Marine handing food to Iraqi kids, that happened and it was true. If I photographed a successful operation, that happened too. But what was happening 50 feet outside of the frame of my photo? What happened 5 minutes before I took that photo? What happened after I left? That's where telling the truth and telling the whole truth become very different things for me. And I don't necessarily think that's always malicious. Nobody can photograph everything. No journalist can put every single fact into one story. We all make choices about what matters, but those choices create a narrative. Um, that's that's something I understand much better now than I did when I was a young Marine carrying a camera. And I think it applies to politics and media today. Sometimes the most effective propaganda is not a lie. Yeah. It's a carefully selected piece of truth. I'm gonna copyright that. That's why I try not to stop asking, is this true? I also ask, what am I not seeing? What happened before this? What happened after? Who benefits from me seeing it this way? And is there another perspective I haven't heard yet? Because somebody doesn't necessarily have to lie to you to mislead you. Sometimes They just have to decide which part of the truth you're allowed to see. And with that, we are going to take a break and head over to our goat of the week. Bah. Take it away, Lou.
This week's goat of the week, goat of the week, goat of the week
Man.
Man,
is early 2000s comedies. Early 2000s comedies, you got us, goats and cookies, through the deployment in Iraq, and so many Marines and so many servicemen and women through those early days of the global war on terrorism that we needed to shout you out real quick. Without you, there would be no lanolin, like sheep's wool. There would be no a Marine just kicks me in my cargo pocket saying, "Give me some of your tots." And God forbid we don't mention Mr. Dave Chappelle. Sir, I will say that I watched somebody run into a house saying, "I'm going to get my show back," with other Marines saying, "My show back, my show back, my show back." So, just so you all know, your comedies were important to all of us, and we hope that you get back to doing that again and get away from some of the bullshit that has been going on. Aside from that, thank you for the irreverent, beautiful comedies and all of the one-liners that you gave us during our deployments. Obviously, Team America World Police, I would not be able to exclude you from this, as you were definitely a big part in 2005 for all of us out there. But if I did not mention you, obviously, it does not mean that you were not important to all of us. And so thank you. We had your DVDs, we had your bootleg DVDs, we had the bootlegs of the bootleg DVDs. Now, mind you, we did not create these bootleg DVDs. However, we may or may not have bought them. So
I didn't put you on the share drive. Somebody else put you on the
somebody
share.
else put you on the share drive. And so with that, we salute you. Early 2000s comedies. You were a dude disguised as another dude, playing another dude. And for that, we salute you, our goat of the week. Bah!
nah.
Oh man. Real quick, what were your three favorite? Mine would have been Waiting, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Grandma's Boy.
Excellent choices.
Thank you, thank you.
I have to say,
Your
I mean,
favorite
obviously,
then, not your favorite now.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I will say like the ones that were quoted the most, and just going strictly off of comedies. There were other movies that were quoted a lot. Troy,
Mhm.
um, definitely Troy. But I would say Napoleon Dynamite
Yeah,
was a big one. Anchorman, and probably Old School were
yeah.
the three big ones for me. And of course, Chappelle Show.
Chappelle show's always a ringer, you know.
Absolutely.
Jesse,
Fuck your couch.
what were your three favorite movies?
Uh, well, I mean, I bounced around a lot, man, because I was with like 14 units in 12 months. Um, but Sparta was not Sparta.
Oh, the 300?
No, Spartacus.
Oh,
Spartacus.
Spartacus. Yeah, that was good.
Spartacus got passed around, and that was like that triggered a whole like workout routine.
That poor guy died from cancer.
Yeah,
Yeah, Spartacus from season one. Yeah, that poor guy.
yeah, but Napoleon Dynamite was still floating around,
Hmm.
and um, shit, this I don't know. You put me on the spot. I can't really think about.
It's a hard question.
Well, I mean, but also I'm a fan of cinema, so trying to put it into when I saw this at this time. Well, I don't know. Some of those fucking movies are still on one of those hard drives.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of them. Yeah, I mean, I might have a bunch of them on my shared Share drive. All right, like I'm gonna go ahead and move on with the episode if that's all right with you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, so we'll just try to run this transitionless, be using a bigger word than I'm sober enough to use. Um, all right, guys. So our next topic, moving on, is the internet democratized information and bullshit. When I was younger, information had gatekeepers. Newspapers, television networks, publishers, universities, government agencies. That system had serious fucking problems. But then the internet just blew the doors off. Now everybody has a printing press in their pocket. And honestly, that's incredible. A civilian standing in the middle of a war zone can show the world what's happening before CNN or Fox even gets there. A
Eat your heart
worker
out, Eli Whitney.
A worker can expose their employer. A citizen can record police misconduct. People who never had a voice before suddenly have one. That's really powerful. But unfortunately, your racist uncle has that same technology. So does the conspiracy theorist. So does the scammer. So does the government. So does the corporation. And now AI can even generate convincing images, voices, video, and text via social media posts. And we have the White House putting out videos of the president and the jet shitting on American citizens and crazy shit like that. We're approaching a world where seeing something with your own eyes might not even be enough. So, guys, how do each of you personally decide whether something you see online is actually true?
Well, I mean, I question the validity of the claim initially. I mean, if it seems like something that is just off kilter, then, you know, I dive in and I have like even in this Iran war, like I've dove into independent media in the Middle East, translating the fucking articles to see if was this jet really shot down, Um, and I've got very little, um, what do you call it? Factual information to affirm the claim. And nah, it's probably not the fucking case, you know? And months later, we see some of the truth has come out. Um, but at the same time, I'm I'm 41 and I well, we all grew up in an age where we were I mean, riding bicycles on the streets and playing Nintendo, but we were still outside, you know. We weren't fully part of the digital world. The digital world became part of us. So we grew up with this. And when I see something that isn't right, especially when it comes to the world of AI, my mom sends me stuff all the time. I'm like, Mom, that's AI. Like disregard whatever you said. And I try to give her some indicators because we're still early in the stages of AI of like, hey, this is how you spot it, you know? Um, but at the end of the day, uh, sorry. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So at the end of the day, uh, I ascertain by actual research, and just looking deeper than the 3-minute video or the 30-second video that is potentially AI. And, that's what I pass on to my peers and my family. Like, this may not be true. Look deeper into it. don't be fooled by the algorithm, um, because more times than not these days it is it's some form of propaganda.
Amen to that. Jesse said it best, so I'm just going to leave it with something that I'm not quite trademarked to say, but I will go ahead and say it anyways. And that is trust no one, question everything. The truth is out there.
Okay, Fox. I'll throw this out. What's something that you once each of you once confidently believed that you later discovered was wrong or seriously incomplete? Because I'll tell you right now, I've been fucking wrong before, a lot in my life, and I'll be wrong again. And I believe firmly that the dangerous person isn't somebody who is occasionally wrong. It's somebody who thinks they never are.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
The police are always right. The police are on your side.
Ice Cube was right about the police.
So that's something that as a young kid, you're taught because like especially was a young white kid. Let me point that out. As a young white kid, you are taught, the police are your friends, the police are people that you can go to, if you're in need. And I'm not saying that you obviously still can't. Don't freak out on me on that. Um, but you need to go in there understanding your constitutional rights as well, and
Yep.
understanding that when push comes to shove, uh, not everyone's on your side, and that you need to always have your own back,
Yeah.
and be ready for anything as far as that goes.
I'll point out really quick that your Miranda rights, when they read them to you, they say anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of law. It can never be used for you. It's not going to be used in your defense. It's going to be used against you offensively. Don't be a fucking dumbass. That's my 2 cents.
So what you're saying, Kev, is plead the fifth,
Exactly what the fuck I'm saying. You have
because that's what
constitutional
that
rights for
is.
a
It is
reason.
the Fifth Amendment. Everybody out there.
Yep.
So
You,
everybody out there that's like Anthony Fauci is fucking, guilty. So is Donald Trump. Then so is
yeah.
everybody else that fucking pleaded the goddamn fifth. It's your goddamn right as a U.S. citizen to not answer a question.
I
Don't
think
be a fucking dumbass. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best fucking advice that anybody could ever give you.
Chappelle did a skit about this when that guy named Tron was going through white people court, and he was pleading the fizz-if as
The
he's
fifth. Fifth. I plead the fifth.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I plead the fifth.
fifth. Jesse, what you got, man?
Well, when it comes to something that I was really confidently believed was when I was Southern Baptist and a Zionist, and really after meeting a Palestinian, befriending a Palestinian, um, Hazem Kadora, he kind of explained to me a little bit what was going on, and then in my nature, I deep dive and shit. I've read probably 10 or 15 books, but I'm also media literate to where I start paying attention to not just what the independent media is saying about what's going on in Palestine and Israel and the annexed territories. Um, I looked at the Israeli media deeply, and one of the one of the biggest lies was, like, does Israel have the right to exist? Israel exists. Do Palestinians have the right to exist? And that notion carries over to so many of the operations of the military industrial complex. It opens up a broader question because we not only fund, but we facilitate all of the discourse in the global South and the Middle East. That's really what it comes down to. And it kind of blew my fucking mind. And what was the one book that I think I proposed on the channel before? It was called Blowback.
Mm.
And it was really just the rundown of the costs of the war and the reality of the situation that the Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen, uh, we weren't privy to at the time. The generals were, and they still went through with it. You know, they still went through all this war, calculating the cost of young men on the behest of a nation that is, at best, a vassal state in the Middle East for the American Empire. And I mean, it breaks my heart. It makes me honestly not want to be an American. I am an American. There's nothing I can do about that. And I'm proud to be an American in my service to my country. But at the same time, the policies that have been laid forth through what I've just said are disheartening.
I've pointed out before that nationalism is saying that we're already at our peak. Patriotism is saying that we can be better. That's exactly what you're saying right now. That's the most American fucking thing you can feel right now, what you just said.
I appreciate you,
So,
brother.
yeah. Um, our next topic is kind of a hard one for a lot of people, but maybe we don't actually want the truth. This could be uncomfortable. We all say we want unbiased information. Do we? Because people are really fucking good at investigating information they disagree with. Someone posts something that pisses us off, source. We're all about that. Who funded the study? Who wrote the article? What's their political affiliation? Yeah, good. We should ask those questions. But then somebody posts something confirming everything we already believe, and suddenly our standards become sounds about right. Share. And before anybody thinks I'm talking about conservatives, nope. We fucking do it too. Liberals do it, socialists do it, conservatives do it, libertarians do it. Every fucking body does it. Confirmation bias does not check your voter registration. So guys, what's something you think our own side, which is the far left to leftish, gets wrong, exaggerates, or refuses to talk about honestly? And why do you think political movements have such a hard time criticizing themselves? Because if we're only skeptical when the information hurts the other team, we're not skeptics, we're fans.
I bet
Exactly.
I'm going to jump right in, man.
Go
I
ahead.
think one of the big things that they've gotten wrong, the Democratic Party,
Yeah,
which I consider myself an independent because I have voted both Republican and Democrat. You can check that shit out; it's fucking public record. And I think one of the big things that they got wrong was just the plight of the Donald Trump voter and how fucking angry they were and how justified they were in their anger. Now, they misplaced their trust, I think, personally, into a being that was not going to look out for them anyway. But to me, the Democratic Party didn't do anything to sway those people from that inevitable whirlpool, sinking ship, sinking sand of a ideology, if that makes sense. Like
yeah.
they did not speak out to those voters and say, "Hey, we get it. Shit's fucked up out there." For I hate to say it, poor white people too. You know, but here's a unifying message that will bring all of us together. They are still struggling to find that. I think you are now seeing actually the fight back between the populist Democrats, aka the DSA, and your mainstay corporate funded corporate house. I'm trying not
Centerist.
to be like one-sided here and say that let me answer the question, which is basically that um, again, I think the big mistake was treating people as if they're dumb, uninformed, bunch of hicks, don't fucking know shit. And I'm thinking back in 2016, um,
Yeah, Hill Dog
to
fucked up.
to
Right.
allow somebody to be sucked into a cult, I think was just as apprehensible as the people, you know, doing doing the sucking.
Yeah.
As my dog, I don't know if you can hear that, but
No. Tell
he's
Trevor I
agreeing.
say hello. Yeah.
Trevor's agreeing. He's like these motherfuckers. But yeah, so that's where I stand on it is that it's one thing that even myself too, I was like, like glossing it over as like, oh, you're just dumb, uneducated motherfuckers that don't know, your left from your right. And yeah, I think that's the mistake that mainstream Democrats made and continue to make, and just will never speak to those voters because they are not those voters, and that's why you have the DSA coming in because they are that constituent. They are those angry voters. So
Well,
that's where I'm at right now.
more than I know. Um, really, when it comes to me, I think it's just I'm not left or right. Um, I'm a constitutionalist, and at the end of the day, I think that both sides exaggerate and exacerbate the situation, but it's mostly coming from the long-term senators and congressmen and women that have just been fucking bought out, and that's why they refuse to talk. Honestly, to be to be frank, it is their retirement and their financial well-being lays on the fucking line. Uh, I agree with a lot of I don't know progressive Democrat policies in the form of socialism, just because like I don't know, still some of that Southern Baptist lives in my heart. And you think about the teachings of Jesus Christ, but I was also Muslim. You think about the teachings of uh, the Prophet Muhammad, and it's always about taking care of the community, and that's where both parties fall flat on their face,
Yeah.
is not really living up to their word as far as it comes to, I don't know, their doctrine. And when you pick money over your actual doctrine that you campaign and preach and live on, then that's extremely worrisome.
Absolutely. I agree.
Can I just add something to what I had initially
Please.
said too? When I said that uh, those Republican voters or those Trump voters had falsely put their faith into Trump. The Democrats didn't give them any reason to believe that um, putting their vote in them would make them any better. You know what I mean? Either. So it's not just saying like, oh, they just threw their vote at Trump and It's all whatever. Um,
I
you
mean,
know,
the wild thing is like Trump was a registered Democrat for most of his like adult life.
right. And and when it's like, a lot of those Trump voters had voted for Obama, and when what they felt was we gave you that trust that you would bring back and uh, look out for us, and we feel that you didn't. And that's their right to believe that and to decide elsewhere. Um, this is the problem with the two-party system,
Yeah.
right? Because each side is going to promise both, heaven and glory that we're all going to like, live prosperous and all this great stuff. But at the end of the day, follow the money,
Yeah, absolutely.
follow the money, and you will not be disappointed. Well, you'll be disappointed, but you'll be not be led astray because it's all public information. It's right there for you. If you believe, if all of a sudden the person that you voted for is voting for data centers, and I don't know, 50% of their fucking campaign was backed by an energy company that's doing the data center. Yeah, there it is. It's not rocket science, folks. Just
Not first off, publicly available information. You know,
it's all right
this is why
there.
you got to do your research.
And it doesn't take a lot. Most states have, a Department of Elections website that you can just look up a candidate and look up where their money's coming from.
Yeah.
Now it gets a little tricky sometimes when you start getting into like some of the packs and shit like that. But look, if it doesn't have a first name, last name, odds are it's probably fucking some corporate donor or some pack that's fucking hiding their shit. Or if you see like one fucking donor with like $3 million like donated to a person, yeah,
It's
probably doing it.
it's an A pack.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
One thing I'll say really quick. I really appreciate both of your answers. Jesse, you say you're not right or left. You're a constitutionalist. And I claim to be a constitutionalist. I'll say that my constitutionalism makes me cautious of concentrated government power, but also being a socialist, which would be far left, makes me equally cautious of concentrated economic power. I think Lou was just touching on that. I
spot
believe,
on.
yeah, I believe both government and corporations should ultimately be accountable to the people they affect. To me,
Absolutely.
those beliefs aren't contradictory. They're rooted in the same principle. No person or institution should have unchecked power over everyone else. It's fucking bullshit. Um,
Hey,
Moving on to the next. Oh, go ahead. Go
real
for
quick, last thing about the fucking data centers and shit. Do you realize
it.
how like little fucking government regulation is put on that? But if you want to put up a fucking deck in your fucking backyard, do you know how many fucking licenses you have to fucking have for that shit to fucking go through?
Yeah. Yeah, private citizens, man. We're
Sorry
not the
for blowing out your
privileged.
eardrums, those of you listen with headphones.
We're not
Freest country in the fucking world. I've got the permits to prove it.
we're not the privileged class, that's for sure.
Jesse, all you gotta do is Jesse Barnes LLC. The fucking you'll get it.
I have my
INC.
LLC.
Actually, INC.
I have an LLC for my own personal reasons. Actually, I ran a business for a long time. When I sold the business, I didn't sell the LLC. If anyone wants to look into or discuss the personal value in having an LLC, I'm more than happy to share that information with you. Private citizens, nothing stopping you from going to any state and starting an LLC there. Montana, it's $100 a year. Just FYI, if you have all of your private property under that LLC via whether it be cars or whatever else you need to register and have to pay taxes on, you can register them under that LLC that you own instead of in whatever state. That's why you see if you live in California like I do, you see Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all kinds of stupid shit cruising all over Newport Beach with Montana license plates. That's why. If you've ever been like, oh, there's a lot of people from Montana around here. No, there's a lot of tax evaders around here. I'm mad at them because I'm not riding around in a Ferrari or Lamborghini. You know what I'm saying? But it makes a lot of sense for private citizens who aren't fucking millionaires and can afford the taxes to do something like that. So, our next topic is somebody benefits when we don't trust each other. Here's where I start getting suspicious. Not like conspiracy theory suspicious, but follow the incentives suspicious. If ordinary Americans don't trust each other, if workers distrust other workers, if rural Americans hate urban Americans, if conservatives think liberals are destroying America, if liberals think conservatives are destroying America, if everybody is constantly pissed off at everybody else, who has time to look upward? Housing keeps getting more expensive. Healthcare keeps getting more expensive. People are literally fucking drowning in debt. Wages, they struggle to keep pace with the cost of living. Corporations consolidate. Political campaigns cost fortunes. Fortunes. And working people spend Tuesday afternoons screaming at each other because somebody put the wrong fucking pronoun in a beer commercial. That's convenient for somebody. I don't think that 5 billionaires are sitting around a table stroking cats and planning all of this. The incentives don't require a conspiracy. Anger gets attention. Attention gets money. Fear gets votes. Division builds audiences. And divided workers have a hell of a lot less power than organized ones. There's my obligatory socialist shit for the evening. My question for you guys is who benefits when Americans stop trusting each other?
Well, the ones that own the algorithm.
Yeah. We did a whole episode on it. Yeah.
The ones that own the algorithm. At the end of the day, I know I keep saying that, but just what keeps coming to mind is hellfire. I I go through my Facebook feed right now, and it's all Zionist propaganda. No matter how many times I clicked, like not interested, it just keeps on popping up. Though I'm an anti-Zionist.
Jesse, would you say that Israel comes to you in your dreams?
For the last 3,000 years.
Israel comes to me in my dream.
Last 3,000 years.
Don't you know?
I believe in reincarnation. Yeah. Like it's definitely um intentional division with the algorithms, because normally you just, I don't know, before the age of the internet, you go to your damn local bar or pub or tavern and you have conversations, and then you may argue and someone may get loud, but then someone may go read a fucking book and then get educated on the subject and like, oh, you know what, you were right. I'm I'm sorry that I took that view, but at the end of the day, let facts prevail.
I will say this too, that I think that we are very fortunate as the millennial generation to have experienced a life where political identity was not our everyday fucking speech. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like we had to fucking like as soon as you meet somebody like I voted for who'd you vote for? Well, that shit was like, it's kind of like religion, right? Those are the shits you don't talk about, religion and politics, right? Like that was
Not at the
sort of the
bar.
idea. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a good idea that we talk about these things, but god damn, it didn't have to become everybody's fucking identity.
I had to put it in my
What?
dating profile.
Right.
Well, I mean, to your point, Lou, it's like wearing a badge. Like which badge are you wearing? So I know how to judge you. You
You
know,
Cowboy fan or Commander fan? Like, or you know what I mean? Like, you fucking Yankee
Saints.
fan?
I'm a Saints fan.
I know you're a Saints fan. I know that. God damn. Y'all always crying. No, I'm just kidding. We're always crying too, but that's because our owner is a Yeah, never
Hashtag Drew
mind. He
Brees.
no, he sues his fans, so I'm not gonna fucking say anything. Old owner, by the way, old owner. Uh,
Hashtag Drew Brees.
and ain't nothing wrong with Drew Brees. Drew Brees going in the Hall of Fame. So
Damn right, as he should.
as he should. I saw him as a Charger actually. That's how way back I go in football. Like,
Whoa, okay.
yep. But so I'm sorry, I got off topic, but um, trying to find it. Sorry, this is
You
gonna
good?
be the
Who benefits when Americans stop trusting each other?
all right.
Yeah,
Ready?
just go ahead. Yeah.
So I will quote a line from The Departed where he says, "Qui bono, who benefits?" And then I do believe it is Mark Wahlberg that says, "Qui gives a shit." Everybody, everybody loses when we don't trust each other.
Yeah.
You know, that's everybody. When you can't find a single person that you trust in your own nation that's telling you the truth, and we're getting to that point where it's literally like I don't trust this person. I don't trust, like they're all lying to me. Blah blah blah. We have got to recenter ourselves and get
Yep.
back to some form of normalcy that says not just that you just trust somebody blindly. No, I'm not just saying that, but I am saying that trust is earned, but it also should be given to a certain degree, given up until the point, right? These motherfuckers have trusted a guy that has lied over and over again throughout his entire professional career, his entire journey through public life, has lied, has been pointed out as being a liar, and they still trust him. Why is that?
Hmm.
Why is that? Like I pose that question to the both of you, but also to our audience is like why can somebody continuously lie to you and you know they're lying? You know they're lying, and you still trust them. Is it some form of an abusive relationship that we just
I
need to
think
get the
so.
fuck we just need to get the fuck out of, right? When you find yourself there and ready to get out of that abusive relationship, come talk to me.
Something I read a long time ago in a book I'm not going to name. Uh, um, people
Is it the
believe,
Bible?
no, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Um, people believe what they believe because one, they really want it to be true, or two, they're afraid that it's true. And I think that, to answer your question, I really feel like a lot of their followers that person that person's followers are not ignorant. They're not naive, but they really want it to be true. They want it so fucking bad that they can taste it. They believe that they're never going to have to pay taxes again. They believe that they're going to get a Doge check or a tariff check. They believe it because they need that $5,000. They need that $2,000. They need to feel like they're superior to somebody in the fucking world because they've been treated like trash their whole senior life. Boomers, I'm not going to include in that. That's why I say senior life because boomers, fuck boomers. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I know we have some boomers watching, but I will say that you guys have the most spoiled existence in American history. I mean, like it's a shame that more boomers vote for Trump than anybody else. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you assholes? You want to make America great again? When was it fucking so great that we need what's happening now? Millions of dollars gold plating fucking statues and rebuilding monuments and reflecting pools and shit like that. Like all of this stuff that already worked perfectly. Why are we spending money on another endless war? The three of us fought in one of these endless fucking wars already. Two or three of these endless goddamn wars already. Why do we need more of them that make no fucking sense? So they either want it to be true and they convince themselves that it is, or they're really scared that it's true, which is, I think, the case with everyone is Hamas and everyone is being Islamophobic to the extent that they are. It's all
or a
fear.
communist.
Yeah, yeah, all the commies, yeah.
No,
I'm
I mean
they
it's a
call
new
me a
way.
commie. Yeah.
It's a new age of McCarthyism.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
if I don't like what you say, you're a communist.
Yeah. I've been called, I've actually had arguments with communists. I debate with communists, self-proclaimed communists all the time. I'll say most of them aren't actual communists. They're liberals who are virtue signaling by saying that they're a communist. I'll trash them all fucking day long because calling someone comrade and talking about the fucking no personal property, that's just you being an idiot. I recognize that some people believe in it, and I know when they actually do, but most people who will argue this are just performative virtue signaling assholes. And that's I'm gonna leave it at that because I'm gonna dig myself into a hole here.
So
But
let's just call a spade, right? Like communism and capitalism is basically socialism for one person, two, three people,
kind of, yeah. And I
right?
think the middle ground would be
Everything has
socialism.
benefited this now trillionaire.
But I will point out that Karl Marx himself said capitalism was the next great experiment. He saw the promise in it. He thought he saw what it could be, just as George Washington saw what America could be. But he also gave fucking warnings. He also gave disclaimers. He also said, hey, if you let these assholes get in charge, it's all
These
fucked.
megalomaniacs that
Yeah,
fucking
it's all
yeah.
done. And Karl Marx saw the exact same thing, man. Something, just a little side note, something I've always enjoyed doing is I used to go to bars and I'd spark up conversation with anybody. And a lot of older folks, especially around Newport Beach, it's a really conservative place. I don't know if most people know that. It's like a very red city. I love throwing socialist buzzwords and phrases at MAGA people, but without the context of where it's coming from, because they're always like, "Fuck yeah," like any fucking attempt to disarm the working class
Is
should be frustrated by force if necessary. They're like, "Hell yeah," and it's like
it
Karl Marx fucking said that, like.
a- am am I wrong, or did Donald Trump not run on a different formatted Bernie Sanders platform?
Oh, he absolutely did. He stole his platform through and through, because he saw how
100%.
yeah, he saw how advantageous it was over Hillary. And like he stole, I hate to admit this. And you guys were talking about the DSA earlier. I'm a dues paying member of the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm not a Democratic Socialist. I will point out that, and they'll argue this to the death. I'll point out that they are capitalists. I've sat through so many DSA meetings where they just talk about how can we reduce our carbon footprint through our purchases. And that's like green fucking capitalism. What the hell are you talking about? Let's radicalize. But a lot of those DSA people went to Trump. They voted for Trump, whether they'll admit it or not in 2016. Once Bernie was done in by Elizabeth Warren and Hillary through that fucking bullshit. I'll stop there.
The,
They
the
a lot of them
shab.
voted. Yeah, a lot of them voted for Trump. It was crazy how they just hopped the aisle and went for this total fucking capitalist charlatan, because he totally bit Bernie Sanders' campaign.
And in
So good
20
point.
and in 2020, the Democratic the super PACs, they fucking smartened up and got all of their minions to drop out
Yeah.
just in time so that it was just Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders at the end. Promised them all cabinet spots. And guess what? They gave them all cabinet spots, didn't they?
I'm gonna tell you what.
Vice
We've
president
been
spots.
we would have been
Fucking
better. We
transportation
would have
department.
we've been better off with Bernie.
Oh yeah, much better off. I still have a Bernie sign in my front yard. It's not one of his campaign signs. It's just a little black and white sign that says Bernie, has his hair and glasses on it, and that's it. It's still in my
They,
front yard to this day. I see a lot
you
of
know,
people walking by pointing at it and laughing and shit. Fuck all of them, like they're the ones who flip. They're the ones who voted for Trump and won't admit it.
the crazy thing is I've had many conversations with some of my Trump friends, some of my MAGA friends, and every last one of them said, "You know what? I probably at the end of the day probably would have voted for Bernie."
Yeah. Yep. Auditing the federal government as a main major priority in your campaign is really appealing to the average fucking citizen. Auditing the federal government and reappropriating the tax dollars that are being wasted
You
on
mean the same shit
absolute
he's been
fucking
talking about for
bullshit.
40 fucking years?
Yeah, that's all he's ever fucking said. You can go back and watch his early speeches when
That
he was a young
Yeah,
man.
well,
He's saying the same shit.
that dude, if anything, is fucking consistent.
Yeah,
let me
goddamn.
let's just talk about auditing the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
the Marine Corps
in
passed its last audit. It was the
yes,
first branch to do that in a really long time.
exactly. But I mean, even the Marine Corps hasn't passed, many audits before that.
No, no, it hasn't.
So like, let's talk about where taxpayer money is going.
It's a trickle down audit. That's what we'll call it. A
Oh,
trickle down audit.
Dude, the moment
thank you, Reagan. 30 years later, we're still fucked.
Yep.
I had a political science class in 2016 actually, and it was like right in the smack dab of the campaigns, and it was a political science campaign class, and we could choose any candidate from the field and do an attack ad and a pro ad for that same person to show like sort of the duality of it. And I decided to do Hillary Clinton. This is the moment I realized I thought she might lose this election. I did it off of her Iraq vote. All I had to do, I found a clip of her. I support this resolution. There it is. Bam. And then all I did was show it was a black screen with numbers, X amount of, you know, civilians killed, X amount of uh troops killed in action. And then I replayed it back. I support this resolution.
Yeah.
Dude,
You don't even
right
have to
there.
touch Benghazi. You don't even have to touch half the other bullshit that she dipped her fingers in. Yeah.
How they didn't realize that she was going to lose. He had taken down the empire of the Bushes, Jeb Bush, just by saying, "You're really low energy." You know, with
This
his
guy,
exclamation Jeb with the exclamation point.
Jib.
Yeah, that's Jeb. Really gonna fucking get the crowd going. Yeah, just having that class and having that experience and seeing that is like and again, I wasn't using it like I just did what I thought they would do as far as doing like the campaign shit. And then I did the opposite of it, of like the positive of her, of like the clean energy and shit like that. And I was like, if I saw
Yeah.
these two like back to back ads, I'd be like, man, she voted for Iraq. Fuck that.
She didn't say windmills fucking are contributing to global warming. They're making the ocean too cold. Um, all of this perfectly leads into our last topic, which is how in the ever living fuck do we earn trust back? I really don't want to end this episode by saying everything's fucked and nobody can be trusted because I really don't believe that. I trust people. I trust people who admit when they don't know something, you know? I think we all have done that in just this episode. I trust you guys. I trust people who correct themselves. I trust people who are willing to criticize their own side. And honestly, one of the fastest ways to earn my trust is saying, I was wrong. Because that tells me you're more interested in getting something right than looking right. And I think institutions could learn something from that too. Stop pretending you're fucking infallible. Tell us what you know. Tell us what you don't know. Tell us where and when you fucked up. Then show us how you're going to do better. Trust isn't obedience. Trust isn't believing everything somebody tells you. Trust should survive questions. So, guys, my last question to you, what does a person or institution have to do to earn your trust today?
I mean, when you come with an argument, I'm gonna rebut. Um, unless it's based in like factual information. I'm going to ask a question like, where'd you get that information from? this book, this article, this clip, you know, and if it's from a clip or a reel off the internet, I'm going to be very suspect of actually the information that they're presented to me. You know what I mean? Um, you need to base your claims off of, I don't know, in my opinion, journalistic principles, um, where you think, like not what you think, but like if you say it, you absolutely know it, you know. Otherwise, you don't say it, or
Yeah.
you write it in a different way to where it's not speculative, but it is, I don't know, what do you call it? Supposed um, information.
Hello?
He's thinking.
Cool. Take your time, man. I'm gonna be watching this and chopping it up anyway, so go for it. Take as much time as you need.
We do have a secondhand question, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna ask that one after we all answer this one.
Oh, cool, 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 cool.
Okay. So this is the when did somebody ask us here?
What does a person or institution have to do to earn your trust today?
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of what Jesse said, for our corporate terms here, don't be so goddamn corporate. Don't be so see through that we can see through you. Where we're definitely seeing like the corporate message, or what you want us to believe and you want us uh to see. Be authentic, be raw, be fucking out there and in the public. Look at freaking Hunter Biden over the past few weeks, which he probably will be a goat of the week coming up. He wasn't this time around. I did say that he might be, but this time was for the 2000s comedies. But look at Hunter Biden, like being raw. Like you see, if you just go on any of the programs that he's been on, and go into the comments, you will see like just list of comments that are all positive, of like Joe Biden's a real, or excuse me, Hunter Biden's a real motherfucker. Hunter Biden says it like it is. This is what we wanted Joe to be. This is the younger Joe, or I mean, it just goes on and on, and it's because he even said it. I'm not running for shit, so I can just fucking say what I fucking want and not have to do it. So be that. They in my political class that I talked about earlier, they talked about several times, and they showed us somebody's concession speech and how that resonated with voters versus their opening speech. And most of the time, the concession speech was what people connected with, because it was real, it was authentic. I mean, you think about that time where Hillary like stood up and said, this is gonna hurt for a while. It's like, damn, like we thought you were a robot. Now you're not a robot. Maybe you should have not been a robot at the beginning. you
But
know
she
it,
has hot sauce in her purse. Sorry,
what is
continue.
that?
But she also said, "We came, we saw, he died," and giggled after a man's death. You know.
True. All that being said, but again, just thinking off of like realness of, and I was just
Yeah,
using that as an example of what a person is like from the public view, um, real or fake. right? Just be your authentic self, and then maybe we'll trust you until you give us a reason not to. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is trust. We should give people the opportunity to betray us, but always with those radars on, with the radars on and ready to go, and call it out when they fail us, and not be in a cult, and not have this cult of personality anymore of like, that's my guy or that's my gal, and nothing they can say or do will ever be fucking wrong. We are human. All of us are human. Everybody
Amen.
out there that's championing AOC, AOC has flaws with her too, I'm sure. She's going to make mistakes along the way. She's 36 years old. I'm 41. I've made a million times probably more mistakes than she has or ever will. And I'll admit it. The question is, are we ready to have people that are flawed and admit it, that are flawed and admit their mistakes and admit their mistakes in real time? That's what we need.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and endorse Lou for Senate. And my endorsement, it goes a long way. I have like some tools. I have an e-tool I can give you as my contribution to your campaign. And a thumbs up. I'll give you a thumbs up. So, I'll add to that. Um, when was the last time for each of you that somebody you disagreed with made such a good argument that you could actually say that they changed your mind? Because if the answer is never, maybe not, they're not the problem, maybe we are. Like maybe we as people not being willing to see things from another point of view are the problem. So do you guys have an example of when your minds were changed?
Not right off the top of my head, but going from the very far right uh, to what I am today,
Yeah, that
and
was my
understanding
example. Yeah.
and understanding like the history from diving in, call it my tism, my ADHD focus or whatever. But um, May of this past year, I was on a study abroad program, and uh, so it's the other side of the argument where um, a gentleman that I was uh, attending the trip with was very, I don't know, not super pro uh, Israel or like Zionist, but at the same time, he did call out a specific independent reporter and called him anti-Semitic, and I'm like, in what way? And then he explained to me his terms, and I'm like, that is no way anti-Semitic. That's just anti like Zionist, and he had pretty much no real understanding of the um, Palestinian conflict. And he actually helped me move into my new house. And on that day, he told me, he's like, Jesse, I really didn't know. So we're in England, and then now moving me to Georgia, 3 or 4 months later, this guy is a wildly, stupidly sophisticated, like genius. Uh, so when he digs in, he digs in, and he expressed to me that this I was wrong, you know, and I appreciate your input and your uh, knowledge that you put forth to me, so I could just do the research on my own and back to research. You know, he is a college educated man and dove into the conflict he had no idea about. But I mean, we all are very familiar with.
Yeah.
And I changed his mind. And he said, thank you for that.
Well, cheers to that fellow. Absolutely. Cheers to that fellow. I'm glad that he could admit, that not only was his mind changed, but his perspective was changed or enlightened, if you will. That's
As it
it's hard
were.
to do. It takes a really humble person. It takes, let me rephrase it. It takes an actual fucking person to do that.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of at the end of the day, that's what we're missing in our society is like humility, because we have been born and bred to have this individualist type of mentality, to where if we fail alone. No, we don't. Like it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child, right? And that's what we're missing. And the village knows best, you know, apart from the individuality, we uh we lack just discourse.
Yeah. Courteous discourse,
Yes.
civil discourse. Lou?
Yeah, this is not going to be a popular one at all,
That's what this show is for, man.
at all. But
Bring it on.
and I hate to admit it, but I mean, it was when I tell you all this, it's you're gonna probably agree. Like, not much I could even, or would even, just as a decent person, like argue. So I am friends with a member of a Gold Star family, whose son was killed in action. Um, I won't say where. I just don't want to dox a person
Yeah.
for reasons, but under Trump's watch, and Trump had them come to Washington, come to the White House, and I had just asked. I was like, "So what was it like?" Like, because in my mind, I'm like, he had to just like not giving a shit, right? Like he'd just been like,
At
photo op,
McDonald's. Yeah.
shake the hand, and fucking done. Um, but to my friend, and I trust this friend with every part of me, because I mean he's a big reason that I'm in the position that I'm even in, at the university that I work at. Um, and he has vouched for me for many years. And part of what keeps me going is just to not let him down. But he said to me, like, you wouldn't believe how um personable he was, in the sense of understanding the moment, like understanding why they were there, shaking his hand, and really sort of he felt he said he felt like father to father, like he could feel like what it was like. But that's like going beyond this. But I will say that he just said that he was treated with respect, and that he didn't just pass him off. Like he asked him, like, you know
That's good.
about his son and everything like that. And yeah, so that surprised me, and that changed my it didn't necessarily change my like outlook on the man himself. I think that certain people just know how to play a certain part in front of everybody. I would never, hopefully he's not watching, but I would never tell him that. But I do believe, I think that somewhere deep down is a human being.
Yeah, I
I
don't
hope
think you're
so.
wrong.
I hope so.
I'm sure the guy did connect with him as a father on some level, but just to be the pessimist I am. The guy's never going to know. You know, a draft dodger's never going to know, and a guy whose son's never going to
Correct. Yeah,
serve
yeah.
is never going to know what it is. You know, my family is a Gold Star family, and, you know, in that I am a Purple Heart recipient, and I don't think that the sacrifices that 99% of Purple Heart recipients and those who were killed in action, you know, the sacrifices those families went through, these people will never fucking fully understand. Though I will admit, I am impressed that he was willing to shake their hand and ask them about their son. You know, I made that joke while you were starting your story about he fed what he fed him McDonald's. You know, I'll eat
I
crow
think he
right.
said they had a steak dinner
Yeah, I'll eat
actually.
crow right now, man. I'll say I'm very surprised that that's how it went. Now I'm proud, you
As
know,
was
that
I.
I'm proud
So
that that's how it went because that's how it should go. Anytime a Gold Star family meets any member of the elected official from the government, it should be as thus. It should be, you know, full of respect and mutual understanding of the sacrifice they made for us, not for one person, not for a war, not for anything other than the Constitution, the American people, and our rights thereof. That's fucking powerful, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know that wasn't easy for you to say because I would have been questioning whether I wanted to say it or not. You know, like, well, so I really appreciate you for bringing that out. You know,
Appreciate it.
for me, I would say there was a specific Marine that I met a long time ago. I mean, this is a long time ago, on a deployment. And you guys might know him, you probably don't. Um, he was, well, you might. But anyway, I'm not going to say his name on here, just out of respect. Or maybe I should say his name out of respect. I don't know how anyway. So I was talking to him about politics, and I was still very much a Southern Baptist. I was still very much a ignorant conservative, not close-minded per se. I felt things were wrong, but I accepted them as it is what it is.
you
Yeah.
watch Joel Osteen every Sunday. Oh, Jesus, he's coming through me. Send 1995 every month for your
I
blessings.
I didn't watch Benny Hill, but but also I hated Fox News, et cetera, et cetera. So I was very open to hearing differing opinions. The first thing that hit me was we watched a movie together, and he said, "Wow, that was the most anti-war movie I've ever seen in my life." And you know, it hit me. Um, I didn't watch it from the same perspective he did because I watched it and I just saw, oh, this was
Okay.
fucked up. It's terrible what happened to these people, but they did the best in their situation. That's the conservative Christian way of looking at it, right? But it was an
Yeah.
extremely anti-war movie. Um, I It took me a while to really understand that, but then he hits so much closer to home. He saw me reading Smedley Butler, War is a Racket. And he was like, "Oh yeah, some socialist reading reading there, right?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You need to read that book, and then you need to read it again, and then you need to read it again. And you need to change your perspective every time you read it." And it really fucking opened my eyes. Um,
I mean,
I I really I really thank him for making me going from someone who hated John Kerry because he was a Democrat to someone who loved Smedley Butler because he wasn't. You know, somebody who made me start looking at politics for what it was. For somebody who, while we were on a deployment, started making me see who was making money off of what we were doing and who wasn't. They really opened my fucking eyes to every bit of this. And I really appreciate that. You know, I think I told them once or twice, man, you know, you're really making me think about all of this a little bit differently. You're really kind of like shattering my reality and that, you know, where I grew up in the fucking belt of the Bible buckle to a Fox News family, while I always knew something wasn't right, I didn't know any better. Knowing better was the awakening for me. Actually having some perspective was the awakening for me, and I really appreciated it. It was a public affairs Marine. And I love that guy to this day. Wherever he is, we've lost touch. Years ago, we were talking on Facebook, and then all of a sudden, poof, never heard from them again. But it's been a long fucking time.
We do that. We're like Batman.
I think that's our generation. We all do that.
I
And
mean, well, everyone's got lives.
yeah,
They got things going on.
everybody has hardships.
Ah,
I think that's the more important fact to point out. And the fact that they made such a fucking impact in my life that ripples on to this day and questions everything that I perceive is powerful. If he's ever watching this, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it.
hell yeah.
I hope he does. I really, really hope he does. And with that, unless you guys have something to add, I'll just go ahead and close this out. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
When it comes to trust, it really is about following your instinct, but also, like don't dive into the the normative notion that's around you, like do your own research. If you hear something that's just kind of like, you know, off the wall, dive in and really let the facts tell the story and not just the story, because there's all kinds of stories you hear throughout the essence of time, but it doesn't make them true. You know, what were the facts?
And I'll just say, as we venture on into this voyage of trillionaires and super billionaires, just remember this. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about us. Because if they did, they'd give up all that wealth that they don't need, that their families would not need.
Rome 2.0.
His kids, the trillionaire's kids, will not ever use that amount of money.
Half
Nobody
of
will.
them he's cut off.
Shit, yeah, there you go too. So they can be, just like you and me. So, uh, this is what I'll say. Like, just remember that. Like, remember where the fuck you are. The people that surround you are your neighbors. We may not believe that getting to this place where we are all profitable for the effort that we put into our fucking labor, um, expels the amount of wealth back to us that it should be. But here's to me, if you're fucking championing these fucking billionaires and trillionaires, you're on the wrong side of the fucking boat, dude. And go on, stand over there with them. Go on,
Gone.
go on, fucking stand over there with them. Because I will say this: it doesn't matter what your fucking name is. Sorry. No, sorry. Cut that.
Can,
Cut that. Cut that.
I'm not cutting it. I'll
can
wrap
you
it up with
smell?
this. Oh,
Can
no,
you
no.
smell what he's cooking?
Smell him cooking. He might be one of those billionaires too soon. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna have this
We'll see.
this
We'll see what happens.
this episode is gonna roll. It's gonna start out with Lou coming in on a Harley, or no, in a beer truck. He's gonna roll in a beer
Don't you
truck.
cook? I would, dude. If we're, but no, if we're
And then
going,
and then
dude.
Jesse is gonna he's gonna come in with his eyebrow way up, right?
No, if we're going, dude. Attitude Era. If we're going wrestling, I was a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan all the
Well,
way.
that's why you're gonna come in the beer truck, and he's gonna come in with his eyebrow up.
There you go. There you go.
And then you guys are gonna have to duke it out. But
Here you go. Here's the way to end the fucking episode. And that's the bottom line. Because goats and cookies said so. You son bitch.
We're gonna have to do the fucking
No, it's this Degeneration X.
Yeah, that was before the Attitude Era, wasn't it?
No, it was during. Yeah,
Okay,
it was all
okay.
during, dude.
Man, that's
We
been a
lived in a
long time.
golden era.
Us poor millennials, we all watched it back in the day.
Let me tell you what, we
Fucking
we
basic
did we
cable fucking warriors,
we
dude.
we, we did
What'd
live
you
in a
watch on
gold
Mondays?
we did live in a golden age.
It was
It was a
something.
golden age. They gave
Uh,
us our attitude though, man. You got to think about it, man.
yeah.
Especially, and the fucking crazy part is Stone Cold's a liberal. If you fucking watch him and watch like the shit, Stone Cold's liberal. He ain't like the Undertaker. He ain't like Hulk Hogan. He ain't been fucking ripping his shirt off for fucking Donald Trump.
He failed to rip his shirt off. I saw that video. He
Yeah,
tried,
Hulk
but
Hogan. Everyone knows Hulk Hogan's a fucking phony and a liar and a fucking fraud from the beginning. That don't work for
Yep.
me, brother.
all right. Well, to tie this all up, I
No,
was
don't include any of that. I'm fucked up.
it's all going in. Sorry,
No,
buddy.
stop.
Well,
They
I don't
can't
think
know. They can't know I was drunk this whole time.
they all know. We're all drunk
I
the whole
mean,
time. I always say I've been
All right, well,
drinking.
cut out that last part. We're just arguing at this
You
point.
watch my solos. I'm just talking about getting drunk and spouting off bullshit. That's all that I ever do.
I'm drunk and happy.
That's they've seen us. They've seen us with our glass go empty and then all of a sudden full again and then empty and then full again. They've noticed.
The disappearing acts.
They may or may not have seen my bottle of vodka filling up
Oh,
who knows?
which,
But
which is
thought
close out.
I just thought, all right, this is my thought process. I thought I had held it together
you did. We
pretty
always
well
do. We
that
always
entire
Yeah.
time, and then I went loose cannon here at the end with the fucking shit.
Nah, this is consistently us drunk. So they can tell from the get-go if they've made it this far into the episode and they're seeing this right now and they didn't know we're drunk, they're not really fans.
Touche.
All right, let's close out and conversate.
All right.
Yes.
So my 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 final thought, as Jerry Springer would say, back to our generation coming of age. I don't think the solution to misinformation is trusting everything. And I sure as hell don't think the solution is trusting nothing. Question things, question politicians, question corporations, question the media, question your favorite political commentator, question your own political party. Hell, question us, especially us. If Ghosts and Cookies ever tells you to stop asking questions and just trust us, stop fucking watching. We're just four dudes sitting drunk around the country trying to understand the same ridiculous world you are. We're going to get things wrong. We're going to disagree. We're going to change our minds. Good. That's what's supposed to happen. Because maybe the goal isn't finding somebody who's never wrong. Maybe the goal is finding someone who's honest enough to admit when they are. And maybe rebuilding trust in this country doesn't start in fucking Washington. Maybe it starts much smaller, listening to someone you disagree with, checking something before you share it, admitting when you were wrong, giving somebody else enough grace to do the same. We don't have to agree on everything, but if we can't agree that truth matters more than winning, we're fucked. Take care of each other, stay curious, and as always, Semper Fi. Thank you all from Goats and Cookies. Like, subscribe. Let us know if you want to be on the show. Also, tell me if you want to talk shit to us so I can be on point and not drunk, or if you want to agree with us so I can get shit faced and have fun.
But if you're ready to talk shit, just know that you are talking shit with the greatest generation
we
of
love
shit
you all.
talkers that have ever lived.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.